Let's go with the veterans. Hey, so starting off, the veteran submitted a VA claim for PTSD specifically. I'm not sure everything that they submitted with this claim. However, I could take a gander just looking at this decision letter. Okay, they submitted some deployment history. Yes, because the VA has identified that their stressor could be attributed towards their military time in specifically a combat zone. However, this veteran does not have that stressor identified, which was the specific event or series of events that came from their active duty time during that combat deployment that contributed towards their PTSD. It is not clearly identified in the medical evidence that they supplied to the VA, nor is it resonant in their medical evidence. So, hey, what's going on? Yeah, they sought some treatment while they were active duty. However, they did not maintain continuity of care, post-military. Why is this? Not sure. Hey, a lot of veterans is beaten down while we were active duty, not to seek medical, not to go to medical, pains and weakness, whatever the case may be. I've said this multiple times. However, if you are a veteran or a military member trying to establish VA disability, service-connected disabilities in order to get additional benefits, compensation, treatment, you need to be specific on going to medical, maintaining continuity of care. Furthermore, looking at this, it goes in to show, hey, the veteran does not have a diagnosis. So this was a previously denied claim because the veteran submitted more than likely whatever they had from their active duty time. They submitted it to the VA, hoping that the VA was going to help them. Possibly waited 6 months plus 9 months. This claim was recently adjudicated, so I'm going to take a guess and say they were waiting at least 6 months plus. Going on from there, this was previously denied. So going into a supplemental, it did not satisfy what was originally the reasons for denial. They did not go out and get a diagnosis. They did not go out and get a stressor. Now, there is a third portion or a third component when it comes to establishing PTSD specifically for service connection. However, if you have a diagnosis and you have your stressor identified, both of those contribute towards that third factor. Now, moving on from there. So it's really just two, because the third one is if you have both that contributes or is attributed by your military service, it's diagnosed, you got your stressor identified, you got well detailed and documented medical evidence from your therapist as well as from your doctor, treating physician that's treating you with that medication as well, tracking your symptomology. That therapist is tracking your impacts to your personal and your work life. It shouldn't be a reason why the VA will not render any veteran a VA rating for 30% or higher if you're having mild to moderate symptoms. Obviously, it goes on from there, 30, 50, 70, and 100%, but that depends on you and the intense increased impacts to your personal life and your professional work life. Moving on from there, we got another one. Another veteran, same issue. No diagnosis. Stressor hasn't been identified. However, the diagnosis is absent. Why is it absent? Because military veterans, they're not going to medical. They're not going to their treatment. So if this veteran went out, all they need to do is go out, establish care with either a VA medical therapist or private therapist if they're working, if their disability is not too concerning, or if they're able to work through it, get that private medical. I always recommend that, because those doctors in the private world are a lot more, they're unbiased, and they're willing to provide veterans with nexus letters, DBQs, sufficient and well documented medical evidence. But hey, there are some outliers out there in the VA medical facility world that are willing to help veterans go the extra mile, provide them with a nexus letter and or a DBQ, disability benefits questionnaire, that they can utilize in order to submit VA disability claims for an increase initial, direct, or secondary disabilities. Moving on from there. So, hey, my take, most veterans, they go into thinking PTSD is, one of those easier mental health claims. However, it's It's one of the hardest because it's a 3-step process that's needed. With all the other disabilities, it's really just a 2-step. You need a diagnosis, and that diagnosis need to be tied to your military time. However, PTSD specifically for veterans, PTSD VA disability claims, the veteran needs to have a diagnosis. They need to have their stressor identified. And then between those two, that contributes all that medical evidence, either if it was in service or post service, needs to be attributed towards the active duty time to a specific singular event from deployment, combat related or non-combat related, back home, MST related. It needs to be identified, diagnosed, well-documented medical evidence. It's not something you could just like, oh, I'm a veteran, I got PTSD. PTSD from what? Especially if you didn't have any in-service complaints. And, just wrapping back to what I'm always saying, vets and military don't go to medical. They don't go to therapists. They don't, they go 20 years because they want to get that pension. They want to make it to the finish line. But then when they get to the finish line, they realize, hey, I'm more fucked up than I realized. And I can't do anything with it. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, so that's why I'm here. I'm telling y'all, you got to get into medical. You got to make sure that you're getting this stuff done. And go, move on from there. PTSD is one of the harder claims to get because the medical evidence, it's not enough. It's not enough what veterans are currently submitting. Mainly doing, they're not going in enough. They're not talking and they're not expressing themselves enough. So even with some medical evidence that they're supplying, it's not recording symptomology. It's not recording impacts to their personal life. It's not recording impacts to their professional life. And this therapist, this may be the reason why a lot of veterans are not getting a diagnosis and or a stressor identified. Because when these veterans go in to see a therapist, they think it's just a check in a box. Yes, it is in theory. However, if that veteran is trying to get service connected for PTSD specifically, whether it be combat related or non-combat related, they need to open up in these sessions. I'm not sure how frequent, some veterans are taking them. I know some buddies, they're going in weekly. I know some buddies bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, semi-annually. It just depends on your level of impacts and your level of need to go in front of someone. If you're seeing someone weekly, it shouldn't be any reason why you don't have a diagnosis, stressor identified, well-documented medical evidence that reports your symptomology and your impacts to your personal life and your work life. So, hey, y'all like this type of content? Y'all know what to do. Share with a fellow veteran who is trying to get trying to get service connected for PTSD specific, or, you can relate some of this information to other VA mental health disabilities. But hey, till fucking next time, y'all know what time it is. Hey, y'all stay Gucci with it. As always, this motherfucking Debo out. Stay liquid, baby.